Hey friends, welcome to today's video. Today we are recreating and refilming a look that I did last week. I filmed the entire look and then I realized when I uploaded my footage that half of the footage was missing. But I uploaded another video that I filmed that day onto Instagram and I got so many questions about what I was wearing on my makeup. I got so many compliments and I got so many DMs asking me for the product. So I'm really glad you liked it because we're gonna refilm it today. Everything I'm using is affordable beauty, everything you can pick up at Target. I did team up with Target for this video and I have lots of goodies. I have a mixture of brands. Overwhelmingly, I've got a lot of e.l.f. cosmetics in here, which, you know, e.l.f. is just a great go-to budget-friendly beauty brand because their products are, first of all, they have a super extensive line of products. I mean, anything you need, you can find at e.l.f. And it's so affordable and so high performing. I do have some other products mixed in here, but let's go ahead and get started. I don't have anything on my skin right now. I am going to go ahead and prep the skin using the Power Grip Primer from e.l.f. I'm just going to use a little bit of this and I'm really going to concentrate this in the center of the face. And when I say a little bit, I mean a little bit. I don't know if you can see on my finger, but I didn't even really do a full pump. This is more of a tackier primer, so it's meant to really grip and adhere the products to the skin. So I'm just going to concentrate that right here in the center. That's where I tend to have shine throughout the day, or if my foundation is going to break up or move, it always happens right there. So that's where I need it and that's where I'm gonna put it. I'm gonna be working with the Flawless Satin Foundation from e.l.f. I have the shade Buff and I have worked with this foundation before. This is a brand new bottle. I just bought this. In my move from my home to my new studio, I couldn't find my original foundation. So this is a warm yellow undertone foundation. Let's go ahead and take off this little seal. This is the first time I'm using it. I like to shake it up though real well. One thing I noticed in the move from my, my beauty room move is that a lot of foundations I'd boxed up and laid, kind of laid on their side. Some foundations, even foundations that weren't old, they were new, just had a lot of separation. So I like to, kind of give them a good shake. The texture on this has a nice thick texture, but I remember it having more of like a natural finish. So I did about a pump and a half. I don't think I'm gonna use all of this. When foundations tend to have a little bit of a thicker texture, I really like to spread that and make that product go a long way. I'm almost using my hand like a palette. So I'm using my brush and I'm gonna go in and start in the center of the face and I'm just gonna kind of bounce my brush in the center of the face. I am gonna go ahead and like move my brush all across my face rather than concentrating in this one area. Because this product, this foundation is a thicker consistency, I want to spread it. So I'm just kind of moving my brush all around my face to get a good surface coverage. I also want to give a very light layer of this to really determine how much of it I actually need. I think a lot of times we tend to use more makeup than we actually need. Foundations are so different, right? Depending on the foundation you are using, some might be more pigmented than others. The textures are different. You really can't really apply them all the same. A good rule of thumb is to shear them all out and then just go and build where you need extra coverage. Even more natural, lighter foundations, start with a light application, then go in and build. I think the most common makeup mistake I see, and I'm guilty of making it myself, is just applying more product than we need. It just tends to magnify texture in the skin, make us look older, and it just doesn't wear as well throughout the day. All right, go down the center of the nose. Yes, this foundation is really beautiful. It really, really is so nice. It has a very nice, natural, skin-like finish. Even though it's a thicker consistency, it doesn't look thick or heavy on the skin. When I get on the forehead, I really like to work in large circles to really spread that and shear that product out. I don't really need a lot of coverage on my forehead at all. The purpose of applying it there is just to kind of have everything even, but I don't really need to build coverage. So now I did end up using all of the product that was on my hand. Okay, so I got a good solid medium coverage out of this. I'm not gonna build it to full coverage because that's not what I want today. Okay, so let's go in with concealer. For concealer today, we're gonna be working with one of my favorite drugstore beauty concealers. This is the L'Oreal Infallible Concealer Full Wear, and I have the shade 350 Bisque. And I am going to take the smallest amount of this. It's got pretty phenomenal coverage, so I don't need a lot. I'm just gonna put a little bit here right in the inner corner of the eye. Then I'm gonna kind of pull a little bit out on the outer corner. The consistency of this is nice. It feels very hydrating, very full coverage, very pigmented. It has great spreadability. So you can kind of let it sit on the skin and it won't start to dry too quickly. So you have time to move it and spread it and blend it out. I'm going to press right here in the inner corner to get the most coverage. And once I feel like I've built up the coverage that I want, then I will start to sweep and slide out to the outer corner. So get the coverage I want, and then I will softly sweep and sheer out. This is like the perfect shade for me. It conceals, it also cancels out any darkness under the eye. What is your favorite drugstore concealer? If you had to pick just one, okay, this is a better question. You have $25 to spend at Target in the beauty section. What products are you buying with $25? And you've lost all your makeup. So you have zero makeup, you have $25, and you're in Target. What do you buy? I think for me, I would have to say the L'Oreal Super Blendable Foundation. I think that's $12. Gosh, that's half my budget right there. A concealer and then a good brow gel. I think that would be actually I would skip the concealer because I would use the foundation as concealer. So I do the foundation, I would do a brow gel. I think Revlon has a good one. And then I would do a bronzer. I'd probably do an e.l.f. bronzer because I know I could make my $25 go far on e.l.f. Okay, that is perfect. Lovely. Flawless, full coverage, but not heavy looking. Let's move on to brows. I did pick up a new brow pencil from e.l.f. I've used these in the past, but I couldn't find mine. I got the shade Taupe. So I'm going to start with the little spoolie in just to comb my brows up. And I'm going to just kind of define, and I need to create a little extra shape here. You can see that I don't have a lot of brow here or here. It's very faded. So I like to kind of start there. I do little soft strokes and I move upward to kind of lift the brow and create a more hair-like look. Very soft, wispy strokes. I'm not drawing one fine line across the brows. I'm really doing little soft pressure strokes to get a more natural looking application here. And then once I get to the bottom and I need to frame the bottom of that brow, then I'll go in a little bit of longer strokes and then I'm gonna extend it slightly out. There we go. Then I'm gonna go and I'm gonna frame the top of the brow and then just fill in. This is a nice brow pencil. The color is perfect for me. It has a good amount of pigment and it's soft enough to where you don't have to put a lot of pressure and you still get a really nice finish. Okay, so now that we have brows in, I'm going to create some definition and warm up the face. I'm going in with the e.l.f. Putty Bronzer. I'm gonna use a nice small little angled blush brush. This is not super dense, so it's gonna pick up product very softly, just giving me a little bit more flexibility, being a little more forgiving with the product. I'm gonna also use this for blush because I'm gonna use the Putty Blush by e.l.f. And I like to start at the hairline. I might need to switch brushes actually. No, I'm gonna still use this brush. I'm just gonna load up the product a little, get a little more pressure in there. There we go. Oh yeah, create and sculpt the face, create that definition. Do you see that soft definition it created? If I wanted more, I could add more, but I like that. I like that softness. You see the difference in the two? Very natural, but then when you look the other side, it's more flat. This has more dimension. Perfect. Ooh, look at that. Look at those cheekbones. Then I'm gonna use the same brush. I'm gonna run it on the side of my nose. What I love about these products, these cream products from e.l.f. is they're very, very forgiving. They're so easy to work with. It's almost impossible to mess it up unless you're like intentionally trying to make some makeup mistakes because they just lay on the skin so nicely and they really build up. Perfect. Okay, we are getting there. All right, let's go add a little bit of cheek color. And then once I have all of that, I'm gonna set strategically with powder in the areas that we didn't bronze or blush. So I'm going in with the Luminous Putty Blush. This is shade Bermuda. This was a new shade that I picked up. I picked this up and I actually used this in the video that I shot last week that didn't make it. But this is just a really beautiful kind of poppy pink color. It has a little bit of luminosity to it, not only in the pigment, but the texture of it too is just gonna give a really beautiful glow to the skin. I'm gonna smile and I used to always apply blush right here. I've got quite the cheek here, but what I've noticed as I get older and my face shape changes, you know, I used to have higher cheekbones. My bones haven't really changed, but I used to have, you know, more volume up here and that volume is kind of slowly starting to, you know, gravity is having its way with my face and it's slowly dropping. So I want to lift that area. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to still kind of smile to use my apple as a guide, but I'm gonna place it just a little bit above that. And then I'm going to blend and sweep up. Cream blush is a really great texture to use on the cheeks, especially as we get a little bit older and we want to kind of have a natural highlight. We don't want a highlight that's going to magnify texture in the skin, but we still want to light up that face and have that really beautiful light reflection happening. Cream blush will do that for you. The skin is just glowing. This foundation is so nice. If you haven't tried this foundation, I'll have all the prices and everything listed and linked in the description box for you. I'm not quite sure what the price of this is, but I would definitely bet that it's one of the more budget-friendly foundations at Target, and it's stunning. It is beautiful and stunning. Got a little happy with that blush on this side. If you ever feel like you overdo it on blush or bronzer, take your foundation brush and just kind of bounce it on the edges of what you just applied, and it'll softly diffuse everything. You don't need to add foundation to it unless you've really over applied blush or bronzer, then you can add a tiny bit of foundation to kind of erase and conceal. Beautiful. I almost don't want to set anything with powder, but I feel like I should, especially underneath the eyes and down the center of the face. We're going to set the center of the face with this powder from NYX. This is the Can't Stop, Won't Stop. It's a mattifying powder, and I'm going to be really light-handed in my application of this. I don't want to compromise the really beautiful glow that I have going on, so I'm just going to kind of softly, very soft pressure, apply that just on the forehead, on top and around the nose a little bit, and then just a little bit underneath the eye, keeping the powder application very light. So what I'm trying to do is not necessarily change the finish into a mattified finish, but more just set the makeup. A little trick you can do, honestly, is sometimes you can just use your brush without any product on it and just bounce your brush or a beauty sponge, wet, damp a beauty sponge, squeeze out all that excess and just bounce it over the skin, and it will kind of do the same task of setting the foundation without a powder. Now, if you have really oily skin, that's probably not going to do the trick for you. You're going to need a powder, but that is a little hack that you can try. Next, let's go ahead and move on to eyes. Now, this is what I got so many questions about, what I had on my eyes in this video that I'll share right here, and it was this palette from Colourpop. It's the Feeling Toasty palette. I am going to prime my eyelids, and I'm using the Milani eyeshadow primer. This is one of my go-to primers from Target. Very budget friendly, and it just is so effective. It works so well. It's transparent, but it has the slightest little brightening tint to it, so it will cancel out any darkness that you have on the lid, or if you're someone that has a lot of like green, or you can see your veins through your lids, your little veining there, this will kind of brighten that up a bit. You just need a very sheer layer. You don't need too much. You want the layer to be very even, meaning you don't want to have too much on the lid and like none in the crease, because when you go to apply your eyeshadow, what will happen if that is the case, your eyeshadow will stick in areas that you've applied a lot, and it will not adhere in the areas that you haven't applied any. So it'll be very difficult to blend out your eyeshadow, and it'll be very patchy. So I've just applied it all over. I'm just using my finger. Honestly, your fingers are your best tool for eyeshadow primer, in my opinion. So next, what we're going to do is we're going to kind of lightly set the eyelid. I am using, where is my crease brush? I'm using just a good traditional, fluffy crease brush. I'm going to go into the shade Slow Burn. It is this lightest shade right here, and I'm just going to pick up product on both sides of my brush, really load that up, and I'm gonna softly dust this on my eyelid, all over my lid, from my lashes to my eyebrows. This is, think of like how we set our foundation with powder. Think of this as the same thing. I'm just setting that primer with this powder, kind of ensuring that I'm gonna have a nice even canvas to blend. So next we're gonna go in and start to build our crease. And I'm gonna start with the shade right here. It's called Marshmallow. How do you say it? Marshmallow or marshmallow? I guess you can't really answer that in the comments, but Marshmallow Me. And we are going to build this into the crease. I'm going to use the tip of the same brush I just used. And we're going to start in the outer corner and softly sweep and work our way over. Just back and forth like a windshield wiper. I like to look directly in a mirror when I'm working in my crease. If I kind of close my eyes and squint and do this whole number, I'm really changing the shape of my eye. So when my eye is open and I'm having conversation like I do in day to day, or I'm talking to someone or talking to a camera, my eye no longer has the shape that it had when I was applying that crease color. So it's very likely that your crease color will not end up where you want it to be. So I like to just kind of rest the eye and honestly just look as straight as you can into the mirror. I also like to use the tapered tip of a brush to place that color, but then kind of turn the brush upward and diffuse that color upward a little bit. That is the easiest hack to lift the eye and create the illusion of more lid space. This palette is great for all eye colors, but particularly if you have green or blue eyes, this will make your eyes pop out. Very complementary colors. Orange is very complementary to blue and green eyes. Very warm. I think this palette is perfect and very beautiful for summer. So I've got that base color down. What I'm gonna do next is I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna deepen that outer corner slightly. So I'm taking a brush that's similar in shape to the one I just used, but it's smaller. Do you see that? See how much smaller and tighter this is? This is gonna give me more control over my placement. And I'm gonna go in with these two shades right here. I'm gonna use this shade right here. It's called Cinnabon. It's got it's like a shimmery reddish brown. And then I'm just gonna kind of put my brush into this really warm matte saddle color. It's called a spiced rum. So I'm gonna do those two. And I'm gonna just tap off my brush just to make any excess fallout fall off the brush and not onto my beautiful foundation. And we are gonna place that right in the outer corner. I'm not moving my brush too much over my lid. I'm kind of keeping it in the same spot, but just moving it in like circles to get that eyeshadow deposit onto my lid, but keep it out here in the outer corner. Okay, then I'm gonna take that first crease brush that I had and we're gonna run it over just to soften it a little bit. Next, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my flat shader brush and we're gonna go into Marshmallow Me, which was the first shade that we had. And we are gonna apply this on the center of the lid. Take that same crease brush and just run it on top. I didn't add anything to this brush, I'm just using it for fluffiness. And the last thing we're gonna do is we're gonna go and really darken up these outer corners. I'm using a tiny little shader brush, very, very small. And I'm gonna use this to place my shadow down, but I'm not gonna use this to blend. This is not a blending tool. This is just a precision tool. I'm gonna take these two shades right here. I'm gonna mix them together, Cinnabon and Cozy Vibes. And I'm just going to use this to basically place exactly where I want this color. It's gonna look a little crazy. I'm warning you of that right now because it's not gonna be blended and it's gonna look very harsh, but that is okay. You gotta trust the process. You know, when you go get your nails done and they like glue on those super long claws and you're looking at them and you're like, you know, you just know that at the end of this, it's gonna look good. That is kind of the same thing. So what I did, you see what I did? I just packed that on. It's messy, it's not blended, it is okay. Do the same thing on the other side. Okay, pack, pack, pack. I want nice, rich intensity, and I want it to be even. I don't want it to look patchy. Okay, see that? All right, you guys, we're gonna do, this is where the magic happens. You take your blending brush, the first brush that you used, and you place it right on top of that brown, and you just softly, now I don't have a lot of pressure. I'm not pushing this into the skin. Very softly. Actually, I'm holding my brush further out at the edge. The further you hold your brush back, the more movement you're gonna have, and the softer blend you're gonna have. If you're really like choked up on here, you can't really get that same soft blend. So hold it back here, put it right on top of that brown, and just very softly go in little circles, back and forth, back and forth. The goal here is to soften and diffuse the edges of this dark color. It is not to take this dark color and get it all the way over in the inner lid. It's just to diffuse and soften the edges. You still want there to be a lot of contrast between here and here. Same thing on the other side. Okay, now we need to look in the mirror and we need to compare the two sides and we need to kind of even them out. Oh my gosh, I'm really loving this look. So beautiful. Next, we're gonna line the upper lash line. I'm using this pencil from NYX. This is the shade Bronze. If you don't own this pencil and you buy one thing from this video, this is what you should get. This is so good. It is a soft, creamy eye kohl. It's a bronze shade, so it's brown with some shimmer, and it's just the perfect intensity. It's dark enough to really supplement and be an alternative to black, but it's softer than black. And I'm doing a pretty chunky line. I'm gonna go over this with shadow, so it's okay if it's not perfect. It's okay if it's a little bumpy. It's just makeup. I just realized, you guys, I forgot a big step in this whole process. I'm gonna next take my shader brush and I'm just going to, I don't have a tissue, so I'm just gonna use my hand. I'm gonna kind of get off some of that orange we used. I'm gonna take this really beautiful light shade. It's called Baked Goods, and we're gonna apply this in the inner corner of the eye. I should have done this before the liner. I forgot. Honestly, the eye makeup looked like, it looked really pretty as it was. I don't feel like I needed this step, but I did do this the other day and this was the makeup everyone was asking about, so I gotta recreate it. There we go. And then the last thing you can do is take your blending brush and just soften that a little bit. Fantastic. Next, let's go in. I'm gonna take a small little angled brush and I'm gonna take this dark shade right here and I'm gonna mix it with the shimmery shade. And I'm just gonna go right on top of that liner that we did on the upper lid. Just go right on top of it. And then I'm gonna kind of extend it out a little bit. Beautiful. Next, I'm gonna take my bronze pencil and we're gonna line the lower lash line, but we are going to be real careful and we're just gonna line the outer corner and stop even before we get to the middle of the lash line. I would say we're gonna do the outer third is all we're gonna do. Then we're gonna take a pencil brush. I have a small little pencil brush, and we're gonna go in with the first shade we laid down, the Marshmallow Me shade, and we're gonna just smudge out that liner. Use this shade. When you are working with shadows and you use a brush this small and this dense, when you apply it to the skin, it is always gonna look slightly darker than it looks in the pan. So if you're doing a liner on your lower lash line, go with something just a tad lighter than you think you should go for eyeliner, and you'll probably get the exact look that you want. Oftentimes, if you go with the shade that is as dark as the liner you want, when it goes onto the skin, it's gonna look even darker, and it might be too harsh. Ugh, these orange colors, I think they're just my jam. They just look so good on me. As funny as that sounds, I just love the way these look on my eyes. Okay, I have a new mascara, you guys. This is from e.l.f. This is the Lash and Roll Mascara, and I'm pretty certain that this is a new mascara. It was on the end cap at my Target, which leads me to believe that it is new. I'm gonna curl my lashes first because that is a must. Don't skip the lash curler. And I am gonna add a little lash primer. I'm gonna use one from Target. This is the L'Oreal Voluminous Base Lash Primer. Now, what I have been finding with lash primers is doing one eye and then going in immediately with your mascara. I just think that it makes it look better, a little more dramatic. So going in really before the mascara or the lash primer has time to dry. This is what the wand of the e.l.f. mascara looks like. It's got a nice slight curve to it. Tiny little teeth. I really like this type of wand. There's not any mess, you know, it's very clean. You don't get too much on your wand. Ooh, this is nice, you guys. Very nice. Lots of length, lots of lift, good volume, not clumpy. I'm gonna go and layer and add more. Okay, I like it, I like it. My lashes are in a good state right now. A couple of weeks ago, they were kind of puny and thin, but they are starting to fill out. So I've really been enjoying applying mascara lately. Let's go do the other eye. Same steps, load it up with the lash primer. Perfect. Oh, so good. This is my favorite lash side right here. I like that I'm able to turn the wand and use the tip of it to kind of fan out the lashes on either side. So I hold it like this to fan out the inner corner, and then I hold it like this to fan out the outer corner. Ooh, this is nice. This is really beautiful. This kind of reminds me of a certain high-end mascara that I recently fell in love with. Okay, perfect. Now I built it and built it. This is quite a lot, but it looks good, not clumpy. I'm gonna do a little bit on my lower lash line, not too much. I want to enhance the lower lashes, but I don't want them too heavy. I like to keep the lower lashes softer. All right, we are to lips. We are almost done. I'm not using lip liner, but I'm using this lip crayon from Milani. This is the matte lip crayon, and this is the shade Can't Even. I do have a little bit of gloss on my lips. I put this Diamond Plumper from Physicians Formula on, and we're gonna use this as well. Let me go ahead and kind of blot my lips though. This can apply on my lips really rich, and it doesn't have the gloss in the way. This is nice. This is just like my lip color, but slightly peachier. I'm gonna be using this little e.l.f. glossy lip stain. This is the shade Pinkies Up, and it works well with the Milani. It's more browny than the Milani though. And last, we're gonna top it with gloss. This is the Diamond Plumper by Physicians Formula. This is also a must-have. Super flexible little applicator. It feels so good, so glossy, so shiny. Perfect. And this is the finished look. I do have to say, I think it's slightly more glamorous than it was the other day when I did it, but you know what? I came into today's makeup with a little more experience and I just wanted to go a little extra. I love it. What do you guys think? Leave me all your questions in the comment section below. I will list everything that I used along with links in the description box. If you have a question about specifically what I used, chances are you can find it in the description box below. But thank you so much for watching this video. I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed this look. I certainly love this makeup look. I hope you have a beautiful day, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye guys.